our goal is to help people be better quality genealogists. We don't require you to be professionals. We just are open to people who want to do genealogy in a professional way. And so I hope that this speech that I'm giving will help out somewhat with that. This is a talk about my finding of Abigail Cressey, one of my ancestors. And when I discovered it, I had worked, I don't know, probably 2 years on it. A long time I worked on this, and I finally decided that it was a difficult enough solution that I should write it up, and I did succeed in having it published in the American Genealogist, a scholarly journal. Okay, now, let's see if I just hit page down. Yeah. Okay, this is what I started with. In 1730, Daniel Cressey, my ancestor, was born. And in 1754, he married a lady named Eunice Morgan. And they had children named Elizabeth, Daniel Ashby, Sarah, Benjamin, and Eunice. And then in 1763, Eunice died. Earlier, or later, about 1765, Daniel married my ancestor Abigail. And they had children named Andrew, Edward, Bartholomew, John, Abigail, and Mary. So we'll see if you can remember a few of those names because they are important. As I was researching, I came across a printed genealogy that said that her name was Abigail Bowers Allen, and I was all excited about that, so I wrote that on my family tree. And I was very happy until I discovered that I couldn't find Abigail Bowers Allen anywhere. And so I embarked on a project to see what I could do to find her. This is what I do when I start out on a particularly difficult problem. I do this with my clients when they present me with a problem to solve. I make a notebook. And in the notebook, I have research logs for each surname, each collateral surname, if it is particularly important, each family member, town, the county, and the state. And I add to my logs anything that I can find that is available to me. For example, I will go through the Family History Library catalog from Salt Lake City, and I will write down everything that is correct for that time period that is available for me to research. And I do that at the town level, and the county level, and the state level. And then I embark on checking all those things. I add to the notebook family group sheets that I have made up on the family and whatever sources I have collected so far. I collect maps. I'm particularly fond of maps to see the patterns of immigration, where they might have lived. Do they live on the exact border of a county so that their records might be across in the next county? I draw up timelines. Actually, when I do my family group sheets, I list all of the sources that I have by the date of occurrence. So I'm building in a timeline as I go. Important events might go on timeline too. Sometimes I create spreadsheets. It all depends on what I'm researching. Sometimes I will have spreadsheets of everybody else in the neighborhood that is of the same surname, something like that. I collect correspondence. I try to correspond not so much anymore by snail mail, but by email with other researchers who have done some work on the family if I can find them. And general history about the area as well. I usually try to contact other researchers. Genealogical publications are no longer so much printed in hardback so that you could put out queries, but you can put queries different places on the internet now. I like to contact a genealogy society in the area. Some genealogy societies have vertical files of things that they have discovered on the ancestors that live in that particular area. I was so excited when I went to DeKalb, Illinois to research my ancestors that they had an actual file on the Buckingham family, and I was so excited, and I opened it up, and what was inside was the information I had submitted.
Oh.
If it is fairly recent in time, you might try writing to relatives, because some relatives have more information than the others. For example, my brothers and sisters don't have a clue, but I have everything. So, and I never had children, so the information that is passed down, they're going to have to go up and then over a step to get to me, because I'm the one that has everything. I try to compile a complete record of the family, all the vital records, deeds, town records, tax lists, military records, church records. In order to solve a difficult problem, you have to go beyond hatched, matched, and dispatched. And you never know where you're going to find the particular key bit of information that you want. In one case, I found a particular, the information I needed in a city directory. Somebody in the city directory had written, Tom Smith went to California, and that solved my problem of a missing person. I write down every location where the person lived, and in this case, this family moved around a fair bit. They were in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and I don't just stop with towns. I try to thoroughly research at the county level and at the state level also. So, having done all that exhaustively, I found my first clue. The baptism of Daniel and Abigail's son Edward gave a middle name. And doesn't Woodbury sound like a surname to you? Sounded like a surname to me. And in this era, in the 1760s, People did not normally have middle names. And so I felt that this must be very important. So I started looking around. We know that we think her name is Abigail Bowers Allen, and we know his name is Cressey. And so I started looking for Woodbury, Allen, Bowers, Cressey connections. So I found a marriage intention for an Edward Woodbury to Abigail Allen, and they had a daughter named Hannah, born in 1754. And then Edward died in 1754, drowned, going to Virginia, and there is no probate for him. Well, having killed him off, I wonder, okay, could this possibly be him? Does this fit? So, in 1730, my Daniel Cressey is born. Then Abigail marries Edward and has a daughter, Hannah. And then in 1765, so that sort of fits in between. So I searched for Abigail Bowers to marry an Allen, and I didn't find any. And so now I searched for an Abigail Woodbury to marry somebody named Bowers, and I didn't find any. I found, though, that Abigail, the daughter of Bartholomew and Abigail Cressey, in searching for Abigail Allen, our Daniel Cressey and Abigail had a son named Bartholomew. And Daniel's father, Daniel Sr., and Abigail are siblings. So if this fits, we have cousins getting married. Okay, that was pretty common in those days. So I'm thinking, okay, what are the possibilities of this? Well, Bartholomew Allen died in 1737, and his probate was no help at all. Then I began to wonder, okay, could the published genealogy have her name backwards? Could Abigail Bowers Allen be Abigail Allen Bowers? So I searched for marriage, and I didn't find any Bowerses, but what I found was an Abigail Allen who married an Andrew Bowen. Now imagine Bowen and Bowers in script. Don't you think that there might be a possibility of an error, a spelling error there? And I also, in the back of my mind, I'm remembering that Daniel Cressey and Abigail had a son named Andrew. Could he be named after a father named Andrew Bowen? In 1758, Abigail Allen married Andrew Bowen, and they had 2 children, an Andrew that died in infancy, and a daughter, Elizabeth, born in 1761. And then, in 1761, Andrew Bowen dies, founder coming from Philadelphia. And I'm thinking, 2 husbands, both seamen, both drowned. Might it be the perfect time to marry Daniel Cressey, a farmer? Anyway, does this fit? 1730, Daniel Cressey is born. 1731, Abigail is born. if Abigail marries Edward Woodbury and he dies, then Bowen and he dies, and then in 1765, Abigail marries Daniel Cressey. Well, that's fitting pretty well, don't you think? I researched more relatives. And I researched those families, the potential families. And that means that I have to extend my search. And I have to add more towns, more counties. And this is getting absolutely ridiculous. Years are going by, I'm researching, but more and more. I'm researching parents, siblings, aunts, uncles. And then, what I found was a warning out. Now, if I had found this warning out early in my research, I would have ignored it. But having done this bit of background information, this caught my eye. To John Pulteney, the Constable of Hopkinton, we command you, in His Majesty's name, forthwith, to warn out Daniel Cressey and Abigail, his wife, Benjamin Cressey, Andrew Cressey, Edward Cressey, Bartholomew Cressey, Hannah Woodbury, Betty Bowen, now of the town of Hopkinton, to Newtown, where they last inhabited. Hereof fail not at your peril, and make return of this warrant to the next quarter sessions. You see, these early New England towns did not want people who were poor coming and living on their dole. They wanted you to leave and go get occupation elsewhere. If you couldn't support yourself, they would send the constable to warn you to get out of town. But hey, we have a Woodbury and a Bowen. It's a B-O-A-N, but hey, Bowen, all with my exact family. And then I found another warning out. There's Daniel Cressey and his wife and children to get out of Newtown, with the children's names Hannah, Daniel, Elizabeth, Benjamin, Eunice, Andrew, and Edward. So here's a comparison. Our theory over there on the right is that Hannah Woodbury is born to the first marriage. Then Elizabeth and Daniel and Sarah are born to Daniel himself. And Elizabeth Bowen is born of the second marriage for Abigail. And then they have Benjamin, Eunice, Andrew, and Edward. Now compare that to the warning out. Matching really fine. So my conclusion then is that Daniel Cressey did not marry Abigail Bowers Allen. He married Abigail Allen Woodbury Bowen. And then, as the final key, I ordered records for the parents of this Edward Woodbury, and I found this. To Hannah, the daughter of Abigail Bowen, the reputed daughter of my son Edward Woodbury. And then I remembered that Abigail and Edward had filed an intention, but there was no actual marriage filed because he drowned before they got married. She being having had sex a little early. So I published this. I wrote up the article to publish this and because it was a complicated solution. But in the process of researching the family, I found some other errors. For instance, Daniel and Abigail's daughter Elizabeth, I found only 2 of Elizabeth's 4 husbands. They combined the 2 of them and left out the 3rd and didn't give a name for the 4th. And then in the genealogy had a wild tale about the son Daniel Ashby saying he was killed in the Revolutionary War, and his uncle Daniel Ashley of London bequeathed him all his property. In fact, he did not. This family was never wealthy. In fact, he was alive in 1783, and with this correction, now people can join the DAR. And although I'm not an active member in the DAR, I did join the DAR so that Daniel could be, I was the first one to ever join on that line.
What does the DAR stand for?
Daughters of the American Revolution.
Oh,
Okay, that is the end of my little speech. I hope I've inspired you to do some serious research and to go ahead and publish it once you have made this wonderful discovery. Right now, I researched the Bennington family fairly well. I've been collecting information on all the Benningtons for the last 30 years, and I'm finally getting around, thanks to COVID. I have enough free time to actually put together the book. And right now I'm on page 690. So I'm excited to get that done, maybe before we go to Salt Lake City in March, so that I can give the book up there to them and have them put it online. Are there any questions? Okay, well, thank you very much.